Cabin. My name is Kristen, and I have a little bit of a different video for you today. I have mentioned in a few of my videos that I lost 80 to 85 pounds depending on the day that I'm getting on the scale, and it has been now 2.5 years. So May 18th, 2018, I had weight loss surgery, and I thought about it for years. I researched for years, but I somehow felt that I didn't weigh enough to warrant having weight loss surgery. And as I discussed it with my friends, a lot of them said the same. You're not that far gone. It's really drastic. But the truth was that according to my BMI, I was morbidly obese. I am 5'4" tall, and I, at my highest, weighed 248 pounds. So that's really a lot of extra weight to be carrying around. And if you had looked at me, you might have thought, oh, she's not that heavy. You may not have guessed that I weighed almost 250 pounds, but I was still carrying a lot of weight. And I'll intersperse videos here periodically if I dare dig them up, or pictures so you can see. But what I really wanted to talk about in this video, because I'm going to do a series, is how I came to the conclusion that weight loss surgery was for me, because I know a lot of people that are considering it. And the older I got, the harder it was to lose weight. So I had just turned 49 when I had surgery. I really wanted to go into my 50s healthier. Someone had warned me before I turned 40 that it got a lot harder to lose weight, and that was true. My weight loss, so let me back up a little bit more. So when I think it was 5th or 6th grade, was the first time I was probably overweight. And by overweight, I would not say obese at that point. I am guessing now that it was probably the onset of puberty, because within 1.5 or 2 years, that weight just kind of dropped off. And I went back to what you would call a normal weight. When I was in high school, I was on the dance team, which was essentially a 3-season sport that for all 4 years. So it was burning major calories all the time. We did not eat especially healthy at home, which meant I didn't eat healthily when I wasn't at home most of the time. So my eating habits were kind of being established at that point. So I could eat a lot and still not weigh very much. And in fact, my senior year of high school, I was fully 5'4" at that point, and I weighed 125 pounds, and I wore a size 0 and a size 3. But the fact that the scale said 125 pounds, and a lot of my friends were talking about how they were 100 or 110 pounds maybe, I felt huge. So at some point, consciously or subconsciously, I got too thin. And I won't post those pictures because that's not anything that I want to encourage by any means, but that was kind of the flip flop of telling people a number to strive for on the scale. So I've always weighed, I mean, since I got to the height that I am now, I've always weighed approximately 20 pounds more than I look. So I have big bones, right, the size of my wrist. I can't even get my fingers around my wrist. My mom and I joke that we have dense bones because she is kind of the same way. So right now I weigh 166 pounds, but I wear a size 6. So if you're looking at measurements versus what the scale says, don't be swayed by that. And BMI can be really confusing for that purpose as well. So what I recommend doing, because most doctors are going to look at your height and they're going to look at your weight and they're going to come up with a BMI percentage. Now, it's going to be fairly accurate, but be careful because, again, if you're on the small bone side or the large bone side, you can be way off on that chart. So don't let that dictate your sense of health. After I had my son before I got pregnant with my son, so 1990 approximately, my weight got up to 152 pounds and I was wearing a size 9 and I felt heavy. That was the first time that I went to Weight Watchers. I know a lot of people that really wish they could wear a size 9 and weigh 150 some pounds. I had my son in 1991. I was 22 years old. I gained 26 pounds, I believe, with him, and that was like the perfect amount according to my doctor. I lost that weight relatively quickly, and I nursed him for about 6 months, so my metabolism was higher. And my weight gradually started creeping back up. In 1995, I got pregnant with my daughter, and I was the same weight I delivered my son at. So 9 months pregnant versus 0 months pregnant. And somewhere in those, 5 years, it crept back up on me. I delivered Katie at 206 pounds, I think. And again, I dropped that weight relatively quickly, nursed her for 6 months, and I just kind of settled into being a mom of 2 kids. I got divorced. I went through another really emotional breakup, and my weight kept piling on. I didn't necessarily eat unhealthy all the time, and when I focused on how many calories I was eating, how much I was exercising, my activity levels, I could lose weight relatively quickly. But they often meant that I was feeling deprived, and that's not a good personality trait for me. I could eat a lot of food, and it didn't have to be bad for me food. I could put down, 2.5 plates at Thanksgiving. I could nearly eat a large pizza by myself. When my kids were little and they go to their dad's house for the weekend, the first thing I did was hit the Chinese takeout, and was meant for 2 people, and I would eat that over 2 days. I know that there are definitely some psychological um, reasons for that, and what I will add at this point also is that I have a therapist that I still work through all of this with. I was so incredibly lucky to accidentally find a therapist who's also had weight loss surgery, and she specializes in therapy for weight loss patients. So I was really lucky there. But it's an ongoing issue. So while I wear a smaller size, I feel good in my clothes, I feel good about putting on makeup, I love picking out clothes, trying on clothes for my videos. The psychological part of overeating is still there. So while you're considering any type of weight loss programs, I would definitely recommend talking to a therapist or a counselor about the underlying issues that you may have with food, because it doesn't go away without work. So I probably more than 5 years ago, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, was hearing about people at work that were having weight loss surgery. And they were people I didn't see on a regular basis, so I'd pass them in the hall one day, and then a few months later I'd pass them again, and they'd be a whole lot smaller. Generally, it was people that I didn't really necessarily know very well, so I kind of heard secondhand that they'd had weight loss surgery. And then about 5 years ago, three people that I knew very well had weight loss surgery, and to the extent that I knew them well enough that I was comfortable asking them if they would talk about the surgery with me, and all three of them were. And I established that our healthcare plan would pay for weight loss surgery. So I proceeded to find a surgeon in my area, and they had an online form that I filled out, and I filled out the form, my history of weight loss attempts and results, how much I worked out, what I weighed, my height, all of that. And I was denied because I was denied for insurance to cover it because I was not morbidly obese at that point. I was obese. And my healthcare providers were starting to talk to me about being obese and the threat of diabetes and inflammation and pre-diabetes. So the more I struggled with my weight, the more medical issues were coming into play as reality, and I was not heavy enough. I was not obese enough. So that was a little shocking, actually, because it seemed like something that insurance companies, and we can debate this in another video, but that they would want to make it available or more easily available before health issues started to happen. So the other thing would have been if I actually had diabetes or if I actually had health conditions that were directly related to being obese. They would have paid for the surgery. So that began the second part, really, of kind of a deeper depression, even. And I kind of gave up at that point. And I just kept doing what I was always doing, and I kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So at the next point, I had quit the job that I was at for more or less 22, 23 years and started a new career. With that came new profile pictures, new headshots, announcements on LinkedIn, things like that. And the pictures that were coming out as a result of that were mortifying me. And I was embarrassed. And I had transitioned into a sales job, which requires quite a bit of confidence. And while we shouldn't relate our confidence to our weight, I did. I was very self-conscious when I'd go on a sales call, especially if my client was fit, if they talked about being active. I went on vacation with a good friend of mine who is very active, and we went kayaking, and I tipped my kayak and I fell out of the kayak and I couldn't get back in the kayak by myself. And the guide had to help me back in my kayak. So again, mortified. There were a number of incidents like that in that time period that really made me realize that my health was affecting my ability to enjoy life. And I couldn't go hiking with my husband or my friends because I was getting worn out. I couldn't walk to our mailbox because our house is at the top of a hill and our mailbox is at the bottom, and I got so winded going back up the hill from getting the mail. My husband, bless his heart, would comment about me being out of breath when I went upstairs to bed at night. So I was becoming very conscientious of not only the way I looked and felt, but how my life was being altered. And I really am someone that loves the outdoors. I love to go camping. I love to go fishing. And my waders didn't fit anymore when I wanted to go fishing, and climbing around on rocks to get down to rivers and streams so I could fish was getting more difficult. So I started researching weight loss surgery actually on YouTube, and I started finding people that had weight loss surgery in Mexico. I had really gone down the path of hoping that insurance would pay for it. I think at this point, well, I'm sure at this point, I was morbidly obese. We didn't have the same healthcare coverage that I'd had previously. So I wasn't confident in being able to have insurance pay for it. So I was doing my research on YouTube and reading articles online and things like that. So I was really getting to the point that weight loss surgery felt like the answer for me. I couldn't move long enough to get good exercise in for the amount of food that I still felt that I needed to eat. So here we are at a crossroads. And that means I'm ending this video because what I want to talk about next time is what led me to decide to go to Mexico. 1, to have weight loss surgery. 2, the surgeon and hospital that I chose to have my surgery. 3, what I did to prepare for surgery. 4, talking to my friends and family about surgery. Immediately after surgery, long-term results. Anything you want to ask me, please do so below. I am happy to plan out videos that will start answering questions that you may have about weight loss surgery, because I want this to be educational. I want to help people make informed decisions about their weight and their health. And if I can answer specific questions for you, I would love to do that. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourself. And I would love it if you give this a like and a subscribe so you can see when the next video comes out. Thank you. Take care.